A lot of people stopped from getting into the CBD very early this morning. I guess that kind of forms the pillars for the conversation that we're then having at this time. Former President of the LSK, Wakili Nelson Havi is here with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're well?
I'm well, thank you.
Karibu Sana, thank you for being here this morning. We jump right into it, yes. Havi, because we had heard pronouncements from late as last week where the president came out and said, you may protest, but the CS for Interior came out and said the same thing. You may protest, but the deputy president, Kithure Kindiki, said the same thing. The IG of police, people as late as yesterday said, we had not received any kind of documentation or any kind of notice for the protests. But at some point, it gave light to the fact that there would be commemoration activities, there would be people marching into the city in a peaceful manner, and that was allowed. But this morning, we've woken up to different parts of the city being closed off. What would that do in your mind as to the allowance of a peaceful protest vis-a-vis the reality that we're seeing on the roads?
You know, Kenya, we have a problem. We expect a lot from these people in government, yet these people epitomize dishonesty, want of accountability, or any quality leadership insofar as Kenya is concerned. So those representations that were made were not useful. But let me start from this point. I want to tell Kenyans that this is a good frustration. Okay. The blockade from accessing the central business district of Nairobi or any other town in Kenya is good. And don't cry too much that you wasted a day. We have more than 60 young men and women who've lost their life. So let us waste this day, because today is Heroes' Day. You understand? Today is Heroes' Day. And picking up from that point, yesterday you saw protesters somewhere in Kisumu protesting against today's protest. Actually, their protest appeared well coordinated, uninterrupted, unblocked by the security apparatus, and from our intelligence, financed by the state. So it is an anathema that today, a very important day to commemorate the Gen Z Heroes Day, that the government of the Republic of Kenya will still act in the same manner that it will have acted in 1985 or 1987. But it speaks a lot. It's an indicator that our aggressor has panicked. You saw what he did yesterday. He told you people, do your worst. I can tell you without any fear of contradiction, no government will deploy this heavy artillery, human resource and machine unless it is in panic. And it has been done before. You, the people of Kenya, came out on the 25th of June 2024 and managed to reach the CBD of Nairobi. I've seen Mabonga has told the Gen Z that the secret lies in numbers. This is a peaceful protest. The right to protest is guaranteed in the Constitution. In fact, Kenya, as we know it today, is a product of a protest. We would not have been here, but for the exercise of our right to protest. Come out in large numbers, outnumber those policemen in the roadblocks. March to the central business district, hold the commemoration. I'm sure there are many leaders of similar views who will make it to town and address you so that this day is commemorated as it ought to be. It is Heroes' Day.
I mean, Havi, you know, when you look at the right to protest as enshrined in the Constitution, it's not a suggestion. It is a right that Kenyans gave themselves when they promulgated that Constitution.
Yes.
Now, here we are today looking at, I'll just mention a few individuals in the leadership circles. The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Kipchumba Murkomen is a lawyer and the cabinet secretary. Professor Kithure Kindiki is a professor of law. and we look at IG, he has the power to uphold the law. Why am I mentioning them vis-a-vis their titles? Is because they have the responsibility of ensuring that they provide security to Kenyans. The Constitution says, when you get out there to protest, which is your right, the government ought to guarantee you your security while going about your protest. Today we are seeing the very same government is coming out and breaking the law, suspending the Constitution by blocking the roads. One would say, the people here who are breaking the law are not the protesters. It is the government that is going above and beyond the powers that they do have. Who's the bad cop?
Look, I will not have depicted it in a way better than you have, but let me continue from where you've left. Not so long ago, the President of the Republic of Kenya congregated the entire government, represented by the two speakers of Parliament, represented by the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, and they told the people of Kenya, we have today initiated the ultimate process of compensating the victims of violation of rights during protests. It's telling. In my computation, bearing in mind the number of the victims killed, hurt, and maimed, averagely, a victim will have gone home with slightly more than $1 million. But that is not the case. This is another case where the government of the Republic of Kenya continues to violate the rights of the people of Kenya as guaranteed in the Bill of Rights and takes monies from our pockets, hard-earned money from our pocket, taxes, to bribe some of these victims of the protest. What does that indicate to you? This is a government that is defined by dishonesty. It is a government that does not have the legal or moral standing to continue serving the people of Kenya. But let's go back. What informed the 25th of June 2024 protest? It was a protest against the atrocities of this government, saddling the people of Kenya with burdens on account of expenses, taxes, levies, fines, and fees, etc., in the 2024 finance bill. And you know, we must always remember that for the first time in the history of the Republic of Kenya, the people of Kenya, led by the youth, the Gen Z, were able to stop with finality a finance bill. They were able to force the President of the Republic of Kenya to reconstitute his entire cabinet. That was impactful. So despite all these setbacks we're experiencing, there is need now than ever before for this push to continue. As I said earlier, we are a product of the protest. Kenya is a product of the protest. The 2010 Constitution is a product of a protest. Those in office, the people you've enumerated, some of whom claim to be lawyers, are least qualified to govern. They are least qualified to speak on matters of rule of law. They are least qualified to come to you and tell you, look, the people of Kenya will guarantee you the right to peacefully protest. Come out tomorrow and work. And you see, even as we progress this discourse, the individuals who have been blocked from accessing the CBD, and I was one of them. I was driving down Langata Road so that I could access Mombasa Road at the roundabout at City Stadium. Then I found it blocked just at
Madaraka.
Yes, Madaraka. So I had to go back and take the bypass to be here. I mean, I was proceeding to this place for a lawful enterprise unrelated to any violent protest. You get it? So that they have stifled commerce. They have interfered with the right of movement of people today. I mean, yet just the other day they said, never before will we, as the government of Kenya, violently interfere with a peaceful process. We will allow people to exercise their rights. I mean, what is this? I mean, like that young man in Githurai, for once, I'm tempted to say in public, it doesn't matter what he wants to do. All indicators are that this is one term. He better accept it as soon as possible.
Well, the president of LSK, you put it correctly that we are a product of protest. And I also agree with you in my opinion that kakistocracy is at an all-time high. We are being led by very incompetent persons who have assumed instruments of power. And therefore the government is now in discourse with its people. And yet we, the people, form the government so that the state, so that we as a nation can run our activities accordingly. But in view of that we are a product of protest, are we cognizant, or rather is the government cognizant that it can never win against the people? Even if we borrow from all discourses that have happened, and today I want to borrow or make reference to from South Africa. The Soweto uprising started when the people said enough is enough. We are not going to be domineered anymore to the extent of changing the language in our school system, the Afrikaans. Thereafter, the Guguletu 7 in Cape Town, where young people were entrapped by the apartheid regime. But the people realized what had happened, and the people said, no more, this is it. And that led to the birth of a new country. Here in Kenya, we have had 2 successful liberations from the colonial system, from the dictatorship in the late 80s and 90s, that led to now more political space. And we are saying, in my opinion, that we're in the 3rd liberation. All indicators that the people always win, although at a cost. To feel this government is soon, hopefully sooner, beginning to realize that yes, they have lost it and the people must prevail, the people must win, and we the people will win.
That is the realization in the mind and on the face of everything that comes across the administration of President William Samoei Ruto. Was it last year that they barricaded the entire environs of the State House with barbed wire, as if it was a Nazi concentration camp? The president is scared, damn scared. Murkomen is scared, Steve scared. Kindiki is petrified. He doesn't know what to do. And I keep on insisting, even as we lament, let us not forget that this is the good thing. However, even as we underscore this as the good thing, we must always remember one thing. These individuals who are determined to continue abrogating the Bill of Rights will always find a way of going around it to pacify us temporarily, so that we are in a perpetual liberation mode, as you said. There has to be finality to this struggle. And the finality to this struggle is to build up a critical momentum, starting today. In fact, it is my expectation today that the declaration that will be made by the Gen Z at the appropriate time is that they are rejecting not only the Finance Bill 2026, but they are giving a stern warning to President William Samoei Ruto and his gang of thieves to prepare and leave with immediate effect. And thirdly, they must prepare themselves adequately on the ballot to send away President William Samoei Ruto and all people who have facilitated President William Samoei Ruto to claw back on the gains we've made hitherto. And finally, on that discourse, and I think this is very important, The fundamental mistake that Kenyans made after promulgation of the Constitution was to allow individuals, including those currently in office, who oppose the Constitution, to implement the Constitution. It can't happen. They don't believe it. You get it? So going forward, have in mind leaders from the member of county assembly, member of national assembly, woman representative, senator, governor, and ultimately the president. Fresh individuals, completely fresh individuals. And I don't know whether Edwin Sifuna is listening. Sifuna, you must do what Raila Amolo Odinga used to do. Find your way into an appropriate center within Nairobi, address the Gen Z, ensure that these declarations that we want made are made. One, the Finance Bill 2026 is rejected. Number two, give notice to these people in office that they must prepare to leave. Number three, ensure that the electorate, the people of Kenya, are galvanized and charged enough, commencing today up to August 2027, to bring a fresh set of leaders in all cadres, in the manner in which we have enumerated.
I mean, you know, when you look at things you're looking at today, it baffles me how an independent body through the police service has allowed itself to be put under chokehold with all the powers that they do have. There is a reason why when Kenyans were passing the Constitution 2010 through a referendum, they chose to take that power from the executive and gave it to an independent body called the Kenya Police Service. We even went ahead and changed the name from a force to service. We even said, perhaps we can even change the uniform for a new face so that you can take care of these Kenyans. But today we see a police service that is part of the choir, listening to orders that don't make sense before the Constitution. Like you keep saying, I'm not a lawyer, but when you read the Constitution, it is clear, I can understand it. I can understand it. But people with everything that they do need, and they know exactly how they need to uphold the law, are the ones who are breaking the law. Wakili, command responsibility has to be taken moving forward, because what police officers are doing on the road today is not upholding law. It is breaking the law.
Let me start from here. Most of those men and women in uniform out in the streets there are good men. I must commend the police, especially the lower cadre. They do a good job. Yesterday I was driving out of town on University Way, and there were these two policemen in plain clothes. So they arrested a hawker, and he started shouting, "Mimi si mwizi." And then one proceeded to the other side and stopped a motorcyclist and attempted again to arrest him. And because my window was lowered, the guy on the motorbike shouted, "Havi, saidia Mimi." So I told my driver, "Can you stop the car?" I caused a traffic stir-up yesterday at around 3 on Wayaki Way, and asked the policeman, "Could you please release these two gentlemen? What wrong have they done?" So the policemen, police women generally do a good job. Here lies the problem. They've been infiltrated at the top. Not so long ago, if you may remember, we castigated the approval of the appointment of, is it called Kanja, the Inspector General of Police?
Yes.
For the reason that he was not suitable for appointment, having reached retirement age. The dude must be 63 now, yet he ought to have retired at 60. But you see, he's just a puppet. There's that guy who is immediately before him, the one who ought to be facing murder charges for Albert Ojwang. What is the name of this scoundrel? It's called Lagat.
Yes.
So Lagat is actually running the police service. It's not the IG. And then there is another gentleman who is at State House, I'm told is the advisor to the president. He used to be a former IG. You know that character? A Boynet or something? Yes. So it is this infiltration, and it's done deliberately. And it's not just limited to the police service, it's everywhere. And remember, and I must emphasize this, when they were assembled at the State House the other day, they were all there, the three arms of government. They are complicit, they have been emasculated, they have been purchased, they have been commoditized, they have been weighed, and the scale has tilted against them. It's the leadership. And this dismantling has been systematic. Remember, William Samoei Ruto opposed the Constitution. He doesn't want the Constitution. So he's taken an entire how many years have they been in office? They were in office for 10 years with Uhuru Kenyatta. He's now on his...
14, say.
Yeah, so 14 years he has studied the Constitution inside out. He's dismantling it. You get it? Unfortunately, in the process of dismantling the Constitution, you end up dismantling your administration. The failures become manifest. That is why people are protesting every day. You see, the other day people were protesting like Kipia because there was determined effort to force a containment center here in respect to the Ebola pandemic. The other day, he took about 100 acres of forest in Imenti. He wants to construct a state lodge. I mean, people protested. People have gone to court. The court has stopped it. The other day, he wanted to construct something here at Ngong Forest. People protested. You understand? It doesn't matter how determined you are to dismantle the Constitution. People will fight back. And that is the essence of the protest. Protests are good. So let us lament, but let us take the most appropriate action. Continue the protest until a result is found.
Is there a false sense of peace that's being then established here? Because it would appear as though, people are not being let into the CBD. There are roadblocks up. Even walking seems to be an issue. The protest was deemed to be peaceful. I'm going to go back to the words of C.S. Murkomen when he said yesterday, and the day before that, and even over the weekend, he reiterated that your protest may go on. They received documentation that the protest would happen. And he said, so long as, but it doesn't look like there will be any marching into the city. I mean, by all means, look at where we are. From Kitengela to Allsops to, we're going to go into Nakuru later on, as well as Nyeri, to see what's going on there. But it would appear as though there will be no protest per se if nobody can access the areas where they wanted to go and lay the flowers and carry the flags.
Murkomen is not so intelligent an individual, and so is the college of the individuals in the cabinet. They're not so intelligent. I've worked with these people. They just make a lot of noise. This is how they confront a problem. When there was a protest against the fuel hike, what did they do? They went and bribed the Matatu Owners Association to silence it. They went to the extent of giving their spokesperson the podium that is allocated to the president alone. You understand? So it is power play. Now come to this commemoration of the Gen Z Heroes Day today. What do they indicate to the people of Kenya? Come out and protest peacefully. We'll guarantee
your safety.
Your safety. But we're also aware that there are elected leaders who are taking this opportunity to come and advance their cause. We're also aware that there are goons who are taking advantage of this situation to come and cause mayhem. Arrest the so-called goons and their financiers or planners. You cannot come here as the Cabinet Secretary of Interior with a loud mouth saying nothing other than bullshit. Come and tell us we have arrested Nelson Havi because he was the financier and the planner of these goons.
Okili, you're bringing in something that is very interesting because from where we sit, we know the government, the president is the #1 consumer of intelligence. The cabinet secretary receives this intelligence because they sit in
you
that
really
National
expect
Security Council
to process intelligence?
So Okili, even by just their utterances that we know we can protest, but don't be violent, let it be peaceful, speaks to someone who has intelligence. but they intentionally choose either not to act on it, to process it is a different question, but it's intentional that they don't want to deal with the problem that they do know exactly is happening. Yes.
They don't have the intellectual quotient, the intellectual way to process and deal with intelligence. You understand? And for me to anchor that point more affirmatively, they want to depict the leaders of the alternative government as the ones behind this protest, are the ones likely to finance, organize and orchestrate violence, so that they move away from the target. And the target is simple. Let us not forget the target. The people of Kenya are tired from being burdened with excessive taxes. And the people of Kenya have seen where these excessive taxes are gone. They are going to re-roof State House with the lowest quality tin roof, mabati. Unaelewa? These taxes are going to sustain the building of a state lodge in Meru, which is not needed. Ideally, money laundering. These taxes are going to finance the construction of a facility in Laikipia, which we don't need. Kenyans must not lose sight of today's debt. Today's debt is a commemoration of a big achievement that the people of Kenya made by rejecting the Finance Bill 2024. People must again today reject the Finance Bill 2026. It's as simple as that. Don't be distracted.
And I think, Wakili, that is being reflected. Today, the Star, page 12, says that Kenyans opt for Kadogo shopping as living cost reshapes spending. Because the cost of living is, as you say, is going higher and higher. The tax injustice in this country, I mean, it has been unpacked, explained, re-explained to the extent that 2024, people came out and said, enough must go. You are not managing our economy very well. And that still is happening today, because if you look at the budget, the finance bill, it's a big joke. To me, in my opinion, it's a fake finance bill. But the unfortunate bit, and I mean this was the latest development yesterday, is that the voice of the people, for the state, is now being gagged. That unless you are reporting pro-regime, which is against the people, you are not speaking the truth. And we have seen this in other democracies. We saw CBS in the US. We saw Al Jazeera in Israel and Palestine. And now here we are. What do you speak? I mean, how do you speak to that? That the organized reporting that ought to be truthful, a reflection of what is happening in the society, is now being gagged and trying to demonize the truth seekers in advancing the call for better living.
You know, in the legal fraternity, I am the last hope. I defend everybody in every problem. In the media fraternity, the Standard Media Group is the last hope. I'll tell you why. The Star Publications has been bought, you know. It's fully under the control of the head of state. Nation Media Group has been bought, true or not true? It's fully under the control of the head of state. So it speaks to it. And I must emphasize, when you see your adversary throwing tantrums and making noise, then you know you're making an impact. So mainstream media must continue to be the spokesperson of the people of Kenya. And it is with deliberation that the drafters of the Constitution specifically inserted Article 33 and 34 to guarantee the freedom of expression and the freedom of the media. Because we had seen what had happened before. We had seen a president's wife commandeer the head of the police, come to a media house and dismantle it. You remember that?
Yes.
That is the reason why Article 33 and 34 was anchored in the Constitution. So picking from that, it is imperative that media houses continue with this discourse, the discourse of rejecting the atrocities of this government. And let me go back to the example of yesterday. In fact, when I got to speak to these two plainclothes policemen, I could see they were really shaken. They said, Havi amesema muachilia hawa jamaa. Unaelewa? And I was going to continue the discussion with them. I was going to tell them, this young man, a hawker, who you are apprehending because he's hawking here, is the epitome of this government. Do you understand what bottom-up is all about? It's because William Samoei Ruto said, hii itakuwa serikali ya mama mboga na boda. That young man you want to apprehend from that motorbike is the founder of this government. Do you really understand what you're doing? Unless, of course, you want to take us through the seat. But the continuation of the discussion must not be limited here with the mainstream media. It must continue in other forums. Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, etc. That's why I continue my discussion on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and X. Let us be vigilant. Otherwise, these atrocities will continue. And we must understand, in Uganda and in Tanzania, the freedoms, insofar as expression and publication are concerned, that we enjoy here, are non-existent. Whenever they find it fit, they switch off internet. We've gone to court here in Kenya to ensure that they will never switch off internet. They'll never switch off your signal for transmission. Never forget that. With that background, the people of Kenya must continue the discourse. You know, in Kiswahili, it's called kibwagizo, just shairi. In English, for poetry, it's called what? The recital. Kibwagizo niki. You must reject the finance bill 2026 and the people behind it. Those who voted for it must be rejected. The person who is going to assent to it must be rejected. That is the essence of 25th of June, Gen Z Heroes Day.
Right. Havi, look around. Everywhere that everybody we've spoken to this morning, the situation is that nobody's passing through. To be able to get to that point, to do the thing that you had said earlier, to commemorate the lives of those who gave it up in terms of a protest against what they saw was wrong in terms of governance, jurisdiction, constitutionalism. But even that is not being allowed to happen, and it kind of flies in the face what the Interior CS said himself, that it's going to be a normal day. But this, what we see, is far from normal. There's nobody going to work. There's nobody opening their businesses. Schools may be open, but it's ghost town wherever you look.
There was a statement that was made by someone some time ago. He said, you armed policemen guarding these governmental officers, you know, in actual fact, the criminals are inside and not outside. So treat us with fairness when you confront us. When the barbed wire was put around State House and its environment, today I'm made to understand the barbed wire has again been put around Parliament. The blockade is being put around the CBD so that nobody accesses it. It's telling. And I prefer looking at things from a much deeper perspective. The criminals are inside. Murkomen, Kidiki, et al. The criminals are inside. Their officers are inside the protected area. And it's a good thing. The criminals inside the protected area are afraid of your advance. But what is not being appreciated and apprehended by the criminals inside is the Gen Z, the people of Kenya, are not interested in violence. They're interested in a commemoration. You have the audacity of transporting the entire government machinery to Mandera, to Kakamega, to Meru, to commemorate Madaraka Day, to commemorate... You know, I've lost track of these stupid holidays. I think the only holiday we should have, and anchored in the Constitution, is the Gen Z Heroes Day, 25th of June. So you want to spend all those resources for those functions. But you don't see the propriety of just listening to the people of Kenya. It doesn't cost anything to listen. The people of Kenya have said, well, you have your 1.5 year outstanding, but these are our grievances. Listen. You get it? Yeah. The other day, I had this Maragoli lady speak in vernacular, and despite her humility, she was very categorical and deliberate. She said, sasa wanataka kutuletea Ebola hapa Kenya, na nani atapigia kura huyu William Ruto, sababu nasikia Ebola huwa inaua mtu kwa siku 14. You get it? We the people are the sovereign. It doesn't matter how much effort you put in place to block the sovereign from accessing the city. The message will be passed. And my kibagizo, my recital is this. It is a good frustration.
Yeah. Wakili, I think even as we wrap up, we see that Kenyans today have been stopped from exercising their constitutional right. And if you look at even online, those that would be deemed government apologists are saying today the government has won. Is there a winner? Is there a loser in this? One would say the government today will not be able to get the taxes it needs to run this country. And it has done that because it failed from the word go by violating the constitution.
William Samoei Ruto will finally be subdued. It always starts like this. You know, many of you were not alive or of age when Samuel Doe was subdued. He was just picked like a pig by himself. We don't wish such a calamitous end for him. But he'll be subdued. You get it? So they have not won today. Gen Z Heroes Day will be celebrated again on the 25th of June, 2027. A month to the election. He's postponing a problem. But it's a good frustration. It should compel the people to be more deliberate and determined to see where the wrong is. And let me tell the people of Kenya, this is the modus operandi of this administration. They will look for somebody to bribe. You see, they bribed the Matatu Owners Association. Okay? They attempted to bribe Rigathi Gachagua with 50 million. Very stupid of them, huh? I don't know who they're going to bribe today. For a fact, they will not bribe. Don't accept the bribe.
I will not.
Don't accept the bribe.
We shall not.
You, Wangare, Akinyi, Kipchumba, and Wafula. Don't accept to be bribed. This is your government.
Nelson Havi, those words, of course, looking into the continued remembrance that needs to happen today for people to get some kind of closure. That's what we're hearing, that you want to come out and commemorate the lives of those lost. 65 is the number that we're looking at on the 25th of June, 2024, when that happened. Wakili Nelson Havi, thank you.
Actually,
for
they
being
also
with us.
bribed the victims, last week. Very bad. Thank you so much.
Asante sana.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.